so let's talk about the chest area. Obviously, a little different for men versus women. So I will not be going topless for your tutorial, but I definitely will explain. So we always say to avoid blasting like really hard right on actual breast tissue, but you certainly can do it light, and you can also go around the chest. And I love this from a body sculpting standpoint because you can really kind of carve out that chest. It's a very fascious area. It's basically the breast and chest pocket for men and women. So love doing the chest work from that standpoint. And also this is just so huge for getting shoulders open. It's very postural. So you're gonna grab your Nexcia, and just like everything else, we're gonna start and warm that tissue up with the infrared light. And you're also gonna start on a slower speed and work your way up. Okay, so we wanna start by using our Nexcia oil. And again, if you were alone and not being filmed, you could obviously do this on fully bare skin. It really feels nice, you guys, this infrared light just heating up the tissue. We're working with a spectrum here that excites the mitochondria. You know, it's the perfect prep for using the Nexcia tools, okay? So men and women, you can go completely across the breast tissue. You can certainly get, you know, this area, which is super important, particularly if you're a woman and you've been wearing a bra. That's one of the areas that the fascia gets super gnarly. Okay, so we're just gonna thoroughly go with the red light. And I really feel like a good measure, what you should be feeling is you should start to feel really hot. So I'm gonna kick this up to the level 3. And again, the whole system is really designed so that you can move forward and try to go a little harder and then step back if it's too much. So if the level 3 is too much, you just slow it down. And if the Nexcia disc are too much, you go back to the infrared light. And that doesn't matter what body part that we're doing. Okay, so you can see I got a little, I'm in the shade of my palm tree today, but you should be able to see in that light that this is getting nice and red. And it also feels really hot. And that's what we want to feel. Not that the device gets hot, but that our skin and that surface layer of fascia and that lymphatic system gets flowing, the blood gets flowing, and we will feel that heat. And then once everything is prepped and we're feeling good about that, then we can switch to a Nexcia disc. So I'm gonna start with a large claw. I just wanna cover some surface area, and then I'm gonna switch back to the small claw. Remember to hold for 3 seconds before you change your disc. Okay, I've chosen the small claw with the larger head. This is just because I like the way that it contours around the shoulders, and I want to cover this area really quickly. And remembering when we're working the whole body, there's such an interesting surface layer of fascia that crisscrosses the body and attaches up here, and also the deep anterior fascial line comes right up that sternum. So even though we're doing chest, we're actually doing some very important fascia work at the surface layers and the deep layers when we are getting into this chest area. So I'm gonna start on the slower speed just to see how that feels, just to see if my body wants to reject anything here. And all is well. So just testing the waters here. You guys, these can get tangled, so just make sure you get those out of the way. Be very careful with your clothing. And I'm gonna kick this sucker up a notch to level 3, which I love to just sit right here on the shoulder. Amazing! It's literally grabbing the gleneal humeral joint. So we're gonna do that on both sides. I'm giving it a little pressure, feels amazing. You can also see, look at all the blood flow. Now again, if you are a male, or you just don't have a lot of breast tissue, you can do this lightly over the breast tissue. But if you are a girly like me, you're gonna have to go around them, which obviously we cannot do with this one. This one is really, these larger discs are better for like that bigger, sort of meatier area. Okay, amazing. Now I'm gonna switch to a small claw so that I can go in a little bit more detailed. Those smaller discs we can go on a little treasure hunt around the body with those guys. Okay, I've chosen the small claw, but again, I don't want you to fixate on which disc to use. I want you to use what you like. For me, the smaller claw can be a little bit more intense because it's easy to ridge, but definitely play around with the larger heads and larger claws to see what you like. Okay, I love the highest speed, but I always say do a little test patch on a lower speed. You know, what we're looking for is that the tissue is accepting. I say in all the tutorials, we don't force, we follow. But I have been doing my own FasciaCare for 20-something years. So some of you may do this and you might see the Nexcia start to shake. And that's when you want to back off and, you know, go to a lower speed and then really hold it, because that's an area where that fascia is dehydrated and it's stiff. That's why it's throwing the Nexcia. Okay, so again, we're just gonna follow the pattern. If I were by myself, I would be circling this breast with the Nexcia, okay? And again, you can go lightly on the top. Our men, go for it. Be careful around the nipples. But one area that's just super, super important is actually between the breasts. Lots of really thick fascia that comes up from our deepest depths around like our psoas muscle into our inner thighs, those really thick postural fascia lines. So I love to give a little extra attention right on the breastbone. And you may want to go back and watch the neck video as well, the tutorial, because I talked a little bit about how our neck muscles actually attach right here on the second rib. So we can give that a little attention. We can go back and hit these tendons where that bicep tendon comes across. Get those nice, beautiful, open shoulders. Okay, and one more thing I want to add is even if you have implants or you've had a reduction, you absolutely can use the Nexcia underneath right there on those scars. It's the perfect place to do it. And also if you have natural breasts, you can still just basically 360 around them. We've seen some really great results with that. And guys, it's a free-for-all. Get on those upper ribs across that chest. And we definitely have seen a lot of success with man boobs. Maybe that's your effort here. If not, maybe it's sports performance. But at any rate, this chest area is super important and needs to be hit every week. And we're just gonna go back and do a teeny cleanup with our original blasters. This is a technique I have been doing since the original FasciaBlaster came out, and I absolutely love it. I call this like the brushing your teeth. You just go side to side and up and down, and you just really have control with the Gen 1 devices. So I would do the majority of the work with the Nexcia, but then we can go back and hit these areas really easily with the OG FasciaBlaster. And I really love the original FasciaBlaster as well as our single claw, just for that detailed work, like literally like around. You know, you can come down in here and around and just get those last little bits, maybe somewhere the Nexcia doesn't fit. Okay, we can go around, down, underneath, okay, and lightly across. All right, guys, that's the FasciaBlaster. And last but not least, in every video you'll see that I use the Nugget. It has the thicker and thinner head. The thinner head is more intense, okay? And we're just gonna go along attachments. You can go right into the meat, but if you felt anything where the Nexcia was really shaking or you felt something that was more sensitive when you were doing the FasciaBlaster, you just go back with this technique. You just poke and then you wiggle it a little bit. Poke and wiggle it a little bit. I promise you this feels totally different than it looks, but it is just a way to really get to that super, super deep tissue. Again, you can use it like, I'm like right on the breastplate, and I love to just go down the sides of the breastplate into these ribs. Okay, do not stab yourself directly in the breast tissue, but you can go around, okay? And you're just gonna use this Nugget technique to like really get into those little deep, dark, creepy areas. Ooh, I found one right there, that tendon attachment. Okay, and again, what you wanna feel when you're doing the Nugget is you're almost looking for something that you're like, ooh, that's really sensitive. That's the very thing that needs to be done. Or sometimes you'll hit something here and it will shoot over here. Just hold it, just hold, do trigger point therapy on it, pump it. wiggle it a little bit, and this nugget will be your bestie. This is also our ribs. This is our life force, our breath coming in here. We want to make sure we open up those ribs and the nugget fits beautifully in between the ribs. Okay, remember, we don't force, we follow. It's gentle but deep. Okay.